Canadian 1 cent coin 1977. Today, we're diving into a coin that almost everyone in Canada, and many collectors around the world, have come across at some point, the humble 1977 Canadian penny. And now, you might be thinking, it's just a penny. What could possibly be special about it? And for the most part, you'd be right. But as any good numismatist knows, even the most common coins can hide secrets, rare varieties, and surprising value. So, let's grab our magnifying glasses and take a closer look at this little piece of Canadian history. First, let's talk about the design. On the obverse, we have the effigy of a young Queen Elizabeth II. This portrait, known as the Arnold Mackin portrait, was used on Canadian coins from 1965 to 1989. She's depicted wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. The inscription reads Elizabeth II DG Regina, which is Latin for Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen. It's a classic design that many of us grew up with. Now, for the reverse. This is where the true Canadian identity of the coin shines through. The design, created by G.E. Kruger Gray, features two beautiful maple leaves on a single twig. It's a design that first appeared in 1937 and would remain a staple of the Canadian 1 cent coin for decades. You can even see Kruger Gray's initials, KG, on the right side of the twig. The inscription Canada is at the top, and 1 cent is at the bottom. So, that's the basic anatomy of the 1977 Canadian penny. Now for the numbers. How many of these were made? In 1977, the Royal Canadian Mint produced a staggering 453,762,670 of these 1 cent coins for circulation. Yes, you heard that right, over 453 million. That's a huge number, and it's why most of the 1977 pennies you find are only worth face value, if that. But here's the kicker. Just because a coin had a high mintage doesn't mean there aren't valuable versions to look for. And with the 1977 Canadian penny, there are a few key things that could turn a simple piece of change into something a collector would pay a premium for. Let's get into the good stuff. The value of a 1977 Canadian penny depends on a few key factors. This is true for almost any coin, but it's especially important for high mintage coins like this one. A standard, circulated 1977 penny is a common find. It's scratched, worn, and has been handled by countless people. It's essentially worth nothing to a collector. However, if you can find a 1977 penny in a high, uncirculated grade, meaning it was never used in commerce and retains its original luster, its value goes up. A coin graded MS65, Mint State 65, might be worth $1 or $2, but if you're lucky enough to find a flawless, top-grade specimen, say an MS67 or higher, the value can jump significantly, potentially reaching into the tens or even hundreds of dollars. The Royal Canadian Mint also produced special uncirculated and proof-like sets in 1977, and coins from those sets will always be in better condition and have more value. This is where things get really interesting. For the 1977 Canadian penny, there's one particular variety that collectors are always on the lookout for. It's not a major error, but it's a key detail to spot. The coin has a variation related to the composition. The 1977 penny, like others from the era, was made of bronze, 98% copper, 0.5% tin, and 1.5% zinc. But for a short time, the Royal Canadian Mint experimented with a different alloy. While not a recognized error in the traditional sense, subtle variations in striking or planchet composition could lead to unique colors and tones that collectors find appealing. More importantly, some coins from this era can exhibit small, post-mint damage that looks like a flaw. But true, genuine minting errors are what can make a coin truly rare. While the 1977 penny isn't famous for widespread errors, collectors should always be on the lookout for a doubled die. This is when the die strikes the coin twice, slightly misaligned, causing a ghost-like, doubled image of the letters or a design element. Off-center strikes, when the coin blank isn't perfectly centered during striking, creating a partial, off-center design. Planchet errors, issues with the blank coin itself, like a lamination error where a piece of the metal peels away. While these are extremely rare for the 1977 penny, they do exist and are worth keeping an eye out for. And now, for the final verdict. So, is your 1977 Canadian penny worth a fortune? For 99% of them, the answer is a resounding no. A circulated coin is simply worth its face value, or maybe a few cents to a beginner collector. But if you have a coin that is in pristine, uncirculated condition, or if you've been lucky enough to find a rare error, then yes, you could have something special on your hands. The best way to know for sure is to get your coin professionally graded by a reputable third-party service like PCGS or NGC. They'll give you a definitive grade and authenticate any potential errors, which is the only way to realize the coin's true value on the collector's market. So, next time you're going through your change, don't just dismiss that old Canadian penny. Take a moment to appreciate its history. Check the date. And who knows, you might just be holding a small piece of Canadian numismatic history, and maybe, just maybe, a small treasure.